This is the Wrestlebread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 171 of the Wrestlebread Podcast. So we just had Survivor Series, which was a very good pay-per-view, I have to say. Like I had said in the previous episode, quality over quantity. We only had 5 matches here, and they were, for the most part, pretty good. Was there a match that everybody generally did not like? Yes. Were there some botches in the matches that we saw? Yes. However, overall, it was still a pretty good pay-per-view. So let's get started into the review for Survivor Series. So starting out, we had the women's war game match. Team Bianca Belair going against Team Becky Lynch, but Team Bayley. It was overall a pretty good opener. This was more about the big spots, which we kind of figured with, War Games type of matches. There would be some with big spots versus anything else. Was there a few hiccups with this match? Yes, there was. But overall, this was a pretty good War Games match. Definitely put it up there with a lot of the other women's War Game matches we have seen. Normally with those matches that we've seen previously, it was more about spots than really about story like that anyway. So I feel as though these 10 women put on a pretty good match, of course, with the big spots. We had Team Belair win with the spot of Becky Lynch jumping off the top of the cage onto the table below. And people had different opinions about this. Some people felt as though it was too much for this. And it's like, well, what do you expect? The women really have to show up for this type of match. There is a bit of a pressure whenever women are in a table, any type of Extreme Rules or ladder or a cage or anything like that. Even Hell in a Cell, they feel as though they have to kind of do a little bit more. So yeah, you're going to get spots in the match. The same thing with, a lot of the ladder matches that we see with the men. There are going to be spots. Now, granted, with the men's War Games, it was more about the storytelling versus the spots. Well, that's because the feud between the Bloodline and Team KO or Team McIntyre, it was more about storyline because of the Bloodline. Whereas though with the women's match, we had these stories kind of drawn out a bit more, and it wasn't more about an emotional attachment with the storylines that we were getting with the Bloodline. So there had to been more of, spots with the women's match. But I felt as though this was a pretty good match. Each woman kind of did her part. So I read online, and sometimes this is why I don't really read Twitter too much. If you notice, I don't really tweet or anything that much. That's because I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be. But there was some people who felt as though that Alexa Bliss wasn't really too much into the match. And I felt as though, as we see, the next day, it seems like it's more a bit of a character versus Alexa Bliss mainly kind of checking out. Because we see that the Bray Wyatt is coming after her. That every time she appears backstage and there's a TV nearby, you see his logo flash. And she was kind of in a daze when she was being interviewed on Monday Night Raw. So I don't think it was her, personally checking out. I think it was the character checking out, which, if you kind of really think about it, is a pretty good move for the character to start checking out because, she feels the presence of Bray Wyatt or, whatever entity it is, calling her. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's some unfinished business between her and the Fiend as well because of that weird shit that happened at WrestleMania. So, we'll see how it goes. People just needs to just calm down a little bit. But yeah, overall, this was a pretty good show, I have to say. Very good opener. Some people complained it was too long, but it's like, it's a fucking WarGames match. Like, what do you expect? A new person comes out every, I think, what was it, 2 or 5 minutes or something like that. And so, yeah, of course, it's 10 people who have to come, well, 8 people have to come out one by one. So, yeah, the match isn't going to, speed through it. I mean, once everybody is in the ring, everybody has to hit their spots, and then we get to the finish of the match. So, yes, the match is going to take a very long time. Ergo, why this pay-per-view only had 5 matches instead of anything else. So then we go to AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Finn Balor, of course, coming out with the weird-ass mask, which I'm not too mad about. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley wasn't even ringside for this one. So this was a pretty good match, which I kind of figured was going to happen. There was the spot of the Judgment Day and OC getting involved, and they ended up going into the crowd. But overall, the match kind of concentrated between AJ Styles and Finn Balor, which, of course, I knew this was going to be a pretty good match anyway, because AJ Styles and Finn Balor are very good in the ring, especially AJ Styles. You heard me sing the praises of AJ Styles previously before. But this was a pretty good match. Very good follow-up after the women's war game match to kind of keep the crowd going. AJ Styles, of course, wins by pinfall. And then it continued on to Monday night with, it was Mia Yim versus Rhea Ripley, which I know I mentioned, like, who the hell is Mi Chen, but it seems like they added it to Mia Yim's name as a nickname, I believe, which means crazy in Korean, they had said. So I'm like, okay, as long as we're not, like, completely switching up people's names here, like we did previously before a couple of months ago, I'm okay with it. And then after, with Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley, then it turned to a intergender match, 4 versus 4 between the OC and Mia Yim against the Judgment Day, which, went through a whole bunch of chaos. And then Mia Yim going through and attacking everyone before Rhea Ripley, takes her down and wins the match. So it seems like we're going to continue on with this feud between Judgment Day and OC, because we had Styles beat Finn Balor, and now we got Rhea Ripley, winning for the whole squad. So it seems like we're going to continue here. I don't know if this is going to keep going on until the Royal Rumble or something, or I don't know. I don't know what the plans are for WrestleMania season with these two groups. I'm going to assume at one point we're going to have Ray come back on Raw, or Judgment Day go to Smackdown to kind of continue the feud between Ray and Dominic for what I'm going to assume is the eventual match at WrestleMania of father versus son, where we all, I'm have to say, sorry, Dominic, your father's going to end up whooping your ass. As a parent, that's what I hope happens. You can't have your kid show up on you on Thanksgiving and him and his new girlfriend beat you down, and there's no repercussions from it. Like a timeout won't suffice for something like that. But I was cracking up. I was cracking up when I did see the footage of little young Dominic coming home with his new girlfriend, telling his papa, "But Daddy, I love her," type of situation. But I'm going to assume that's where we're going for WrestleMania, right? Like, we're not doing all this just to pass the time. I'm going to assume that WrestleMania match is going to be Dominic versus Rey Mysterio, and then Dominic will see his ways that his new girl isn't for him, and then he, hugs his dad or something like that at the end. That's what I'm going to guess is going to happen. So from the AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, then we go to Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. I did warn people that I would be very shocked if this turns out to be a very good match. And it really wasn't a good match, because, like I said, it's a typical Ronda Rousey match. If people were upset about it, I don't know why people were upset. Like, I don't know what you expected from this match. Of course, everyone talked about the spot where Shotzi tried to go for, I think it was a DDT on the apron, but Ronda Rousey kind of like held onto the rope. Listen, I don't know why people are. It was trending for Ronda Rousey to get fired. I'm like, I don't know why you guys are like surprised at this. Like, I not that I expected Ronda Rousey to screw Shotzi out of a spot which could have potentially injured her pretty badly. But Ronda Rousey, Ronda Rousey has already shown that she isn't really a big fan as far as, the wrestling portion of wrestling. She is a big fan of viewer and whatnot, but it's a complete difference of stepping through the ropes. Like, y'all don't remember she didn't even want to do house shows? Like, she was complaining about the schedule, and then she, of course, went out there on, I think it was on her Twitter or something like that, and said that wrestling was fake and trolled, and it pissed off a bunch of people. That's the same person. Really is the same person. So I'm not like surprised at the match that she put on. It's the same person that was feuding against Charlotte Flair that people were quiet about. They were in they were in Boston at Raw. So of course the "We Want Sasha" chants broke out, and the Sasha Banks chants broke out. And look here, the same energy from Mr. McMahon, it passes on to Mr. Triple H. They muted the crowd because shut the fuck up. Sasha Banks ain't coming. Don't hype up the crowd at home. Don't start the revolution. And don't get it trending on Twitter. So they muted the crowd with the Sasha Banks chants, which, it is what it is. There's, the dirt sheets are going crazy with the, is she coming back? Is she not coming back? I'll get to her in a moment after I talk about this match, but this match, it wasn't good. It was the worst match in the card, of course. I feel bad for Shotzi because this was her opportunity, but I feel like she really wasn't given enough time to really connect to the crowd for them to really care for her to win. Plus the fact that you are in Boston and the crowd is like tuned out because they are waiting for a possible return of Sasha Banks. Like I said, I think it's kind of like, it's similar to Liv Morgan, where, they had the opportunity to give her the push when it was right, and it kind of took a little bit too long, and by the time that it comes around, it's like kind of dead in the water. She has been off TV for a little bit during the transition between Vince and Triple H, if I'm not mistaken, and then when she came back, suddenly she's a face, stuff like that. And I feel like it wasn't really enough time for her to connect with the crowd universally for them to really care about her. Now, those of us who've seen her in NXT and know what she's all about, yeah, we will cheer for her and stuff like that and hope for the best for her. But for the casual crowd who only watches Raw and Smackdown, they seen her as the heel and stuff like that, kind of got put into a weird place as booking wise, and then now suddenly she comes back as a face, and I feel like it didn't connect with the crowd just yet. Not as much as Raquel. It would have been cool if Raquel was the one who got the title shot to go against Ronda Rousey, but I guess we're holding that off for right now. I don't know if that's going to be the next feud for Ronda, since Shotzi was kind of taken down, and Raquel was taken out by Ronda and Shayna Baszler, but who knows here. But I'm not surprised that this match wasn't really that good. It did turn out a little bit worse than I thought it would be, because I knew it was going to be bland. I mean, that match was about as dry as Thanksgiving turkey, unfortunately. But yeah, it wasn't really a good match, and which is a shame because, I felt as though, it would have been great for Shotzi to have, put on a pretty good match. But then after that, we get to the U.S. Championship match, Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. And I told you guys, I said Theory was going to win, and the best way for him to win is to have, either Bobby take out Seth or Seth take out Bobby, and then Theory is right there for the pin. And that's exactly what we got there. This was a great match between these three. And for all the people who thought, oh, Theory's getting buried, Triple H doesn't like him, oh, Triple H is really turning around all the stuff that Vince did. And I'm like, no. Y'all don't remember that Austin Theory was part of the way. He was in the black and gold NXT. That is Triple H's boy. Triple H probably was the one who kind of like made that push for Austin Theory to, get the push in front of Vince McMahon. He did the same thing for Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins got the big push under Vince McMahon as well. So, I figured that Austin Theory was going to be looking good. I kind of figured it may have been more of a repackage, as we see here, that he is not about trying to be the youngest. We don't see him, doing the Tyler Breeze entrance with the selfie and everything. He's a new guy, and it's a new day. Yes, it is. And Theory is now the U.S. champ. He doesn't want to be called Kid anymore, as he told Seth Rollins. And he told Seth Rollins, I'm going to fight you in your own time. I'm okay with it. Like I said, Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley do not really need the U.S. Championship in order to be pushed as strong competitors. But I still do need Bobby Lashley to remember he lost the title that he didn't technically lose. And I did enjoy Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley when they were both U.S. championships. I was very happy for them. I really was. But like I said, those two are the type of people who deserve to be in the main event picture. Because we have this, the situation with Roman Reigns and taking over the main title picture for 2 years and having 2 belts and everything like that without them combining the belts yet. I haven't heard any, the dirt sheets haven't been talking about them combining those titles and the tag team titles. So they're just carrying around the titles until I guess Triple H figure out what is he going to do with them. But yeah, those two, they don't really need to be in the main event picture. Those two, Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley, can feud each other without a title and it will still be a good match. But I feel like Theory needs the title to kind of with this repackage. Him having the title will definitely help out this new character. I'm still hoping he does the open challenges, stuff like that. But we will see. We will see. But this was a pretty good match between these three. Very good chemistry between them. Bobby with the strength and Rollins with the speed, and Theory, doing all the stuff that he does as well. But this was a very good match. I'm sure people may have said that this was their match of the night. I would say this match was pretty close. The match of the night for me, of course, is this match that we're about to talk about, which was the men's WarGames match. Now, look, I did choose Team Bloodline to lose. I did say that. I thought it was going to be a bit of fuckery that will happen because of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, and look at that. Look at that. As Paul Rudd said, look at us. Hey, look at us. Who would have thought we would see Jey Uso and Sami Zayn hugging each other and coming together as one, and for Roman Reigns to give him the hug. And I knew that Sami Zayn was going to possibly take out Kevin Owens, but I thought that it would be Jey Uso, falsely accusing Sami Zayn of something, and then it would kind of it would kind of fall apart a little bit, and then, the team McIntyre would, take advantage of that mistake. But no, we had almost the exact opposite. We had Team Bloodline the Bloodline coming together as one, and Sami Zayn showing no, I will kick my best friend. I was his best man in the wedding, and we have been friends for decades. I will kick him in the face for the tribal chief. That is some strong commitment there. That, in my opinion, that should slightly scare Roman Reigns, because if you're willing to turn your back that hard on your best friend, your brother, basically. Like, he is basically blood. You know, you were the best man in his match. You guys have been friends for so long, and you are willing to turn your back on him for me? It's like, if you find someone, if he finds someone to be more devoted to than the tribal chief, what will he do to the tribal chief? You know, you kind of have that bit of a thought in the back of your head that when someone like easily turns on someone that they claim that they love, that it's their brother, bestie, and stuff like that, it's like, yo, how hard you gonna turn on me? You know, that's some mafia movie type of situation there. But this match, like I had said earlier, was more storyline than it was the spots and stuff like that. I mean, even though we did get some spots and everything, but this was more about the storyline within the Bloodline, especially with Kevin Owens there. I mean, we had the spot with the 10 beats and everything like that, which was like, you know, it got a bit of a pop from the crowd. It was kind of a bit of an expected spot, I guess I should say, with everyone getting it at the same time. But this was pretty good. First of all, I thought Roman Reigns was squatting down. I didn't have my eye on that part that well when they showed him the first like 2 times. I thought he was squatting in order to like he was squatting. I didn't realize they gave him a fucking chair to sit on. Like, I know he's the tribal chief, but it's like, of all the WarGames matches we have seen, I have yet to see them get a chair for someone and say, sure, you can sit down. I was cracking up when I realized that he was sitting in the fucking chair. He was just sitting there watching, you know, the whole way through until it was his time to come out. But we saw once Jey Uso and Sami Uso were in the ring together, that there was a bit of a conflict and stuff like that as well. Great spot of when Kevin Owens was getting the pin, that Sami Zayn came in and stopped the ref's arm from counting to 3, and they looked at each other, and Sami Zayn looked at him like, listen, I have to do what I have to do for the tribal chief, and right now you are in the way. And it was that, you know, it was, like I said, it was a great story. It was a great story being told there between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And, you know, the spot too that everyone is talking about, and I was going to get into a little bit, was Kevin Owens slapping the hell out of Roman Reigns. Apparently, it was an unplanned spot. People, of course, try to make it into a whole reenactment or something like that with Punk and the Young Bucks or something, where it's like, oh, you know, it's backstage heat and this, that, and the third, and it was unplanned, and Roman Reigns was cursed and stuff like that. Which, you know, if you have a ruptured eardrum, I would assume that you would not be happy about it. And there may be some curse words that come from your mouth. I don't know how painful it is to have a ruptured eardrum, but I'm sure it's not a fun thing to go through. But it seems like it's, you know, especially from what we've seen afterwards of with Kevin Owens coming out and everything, it doesn't seem like this was anything really drastic as far as like they're going to punish Kevin Owens for it, or, you know, there's going to be beef between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, because it seems like both guys are a bit professional, you know. But we will see. Maybe we're completely wrong about it. But yeah, this was a pretty good match. Then we had Sami Zayn getting the okay from Roman Reigns to attack Kevin Owens, and he sat there and took him straight out. And then we had the Bloodline picking up the win. So, you know, I admit that I was wrong. I was wrong about that. I was wrong to doubt the tribal chief. I acknowledge him now. I mean, I just didn't acknowledge him just for that match, because I thought that his henchman was going to cause some fuckery, but it looks like the bloodline is as strong as ever. So now, getting into Monday Night Raw, we start off with Becky Lynch, the man, which I'm very glad that she is back to the man. Not that I had the biggest, I wasn't the biggest fan of Big Time Bex. I mean, it worked because she was about as ridiculous as Seth Rollins was, especially with the outfits. But I like the man, and I'm glad that the man is back. But the man opened up the show and everything, and said that she's the man of the people, and decided to go into the crowd. And she gets into the crowd, start high-fiving people, and I don't know, people can be weird. And I was sitting there like, oh, I hope everyone can behave themselves, because you see it whenever people go through the crowd and stuff like that. People either want to be on TV or they work so hard to get that slap from the wrestler. And so she went up into the crowd, high-fiving people and everything. And then she pointed out, hey, yellow's my favorite color. What's your name? He said, my name is Bob. And Bob was cool. People felt some type of way about Bob because he had his phone out. And it's like, well, of course, we're at the age of, our world that everyone has cell phones. And if you want to create memories and have memories, you have a cell phone. It's just like back in the day when people had Polaroids and stuff. And people, took a picture with the fucking Polaroid or the camera that goes click, and you had to sit there and wind the thing in order to fast forward the film. Like, I don't know what people feeling some type of way about. Like, his head wasn't down. It wasn't like he wasn't paying attention to what was going on. He had the phone to the side, taking video of what was going on. So, I was okay with that segment. I would do the exact same thing. But Bob, he got over. I don't know how many Twitter followers he has, because his tweet came up with him showing the video from his perspective of what happened on Raw. And then comes the second guy. And the second guy, I was like, ugh. He made me uncomfortable. Like, he was already halfway through the aisle when she was coming up. And she comes over to him, and he was just like, oh my gosh. Like, no word. Like, it's hard to explain it, but definitely, dude, calm down. You know what I mean? Calm down. But yeah, from there, of course, we're continuing the storyline between Becky Lynch and Bayley, it looks like, which I'm fine with. I kind of course, there's unfinished business between those two. Also, kind of rewinding a bit, that we had the press conference for WarGames afterwards, which I always crack up with WWE, because suddenly they have a press conference. Now, they did used to do a press conference. They did one that I definitely remember was WrestleMania 30. They had a press conference afterwards, but you didn't see who was in the room. You just saw everyone was sitting at a table, and they had, was it 30 or 31? I forgot which one, but I definitely remembered, it might have been 30. Whatever WrestleMania just came on the network. When they just released the WWE network, and WrestleMania was the first, that WrestleMania that was the first one on TV. It may have been WrestleMania 30. But there was a press conference there. You couldn't see who was asking the questions, so obviously it was a backstage person who asked the questions. But I remember vividly of Paul Heyman sitting there talking about it. You also had the Shield as well, talking as well. It might have been actually 30, because the Shield was together for WrestleMania 30. But it was the Shield talking, and I think Dean Ambrose, shoved the mic off the table or something like that. And it was Paul Heyman as well. And I forgot who else they interviewed. It might have been John Cena too. But yeah, you didn't really see who it was. It was a table. It wasn't elaborate or anything like that. And it was kind of what they did anyway, of having quote unquote reporters ask questions and stuff like that. Then comes AEW with their media scrum and everything. While I don't think I talked about it in the previous episode, the media scrum for Full Gear, but I don't know if anybody saw, like, I don't know what part backstage it was, but you see a big picture of Jay-Z on one side, and it was like, it's like, what the hell is Jay-Z doing there? But it was a picture of him, of course. I don't know. I thought that was a bit weird. I thought that they would probably try their best to cover it up a little better. And then, of course, WWE had their press conference, which I was like, one thing you can give WWE is that production will always be better. So their little production, of them showing they showed the people who were asking questions, and they weren't plants. They were legit people, people who I've recognized. Like, I know one of them, she's on Twitter. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get her name wrong. I don't know if it's New York Diva or New York Demon Diva or something like that. I forgot exactly her name, but I've seen her on Twitter, and she'd be in the crowds and stuff like that when AEW comes around or WWE comes around. And she was in the front row, and Triple H, like, noticed that she had her hand up for a while and did a quote-unquote audible and let her ask a question. You had someone from, I think it was comicbook.com there, and a couple other people as well. So, there weren't plants. It was legit people asking questions, and they played the theme music of people walking up, stuff like that. You had Byron Saxon doing intros and everything as far as who's coming up and stuff. So it's very elaborate. But my point of bringing that up was that Bianca Belair was being interviewed alongside with Becky Lynch, and they asked Bianca, like, who she would like to face at WrestleMania. And she had two answers. One was Rhea Ripley, which I am waiting for that matchup between those two. That's going to be a great match, of course. And then she said Charlotte Flair, because she wants to be one of the few women, or if not the first woman, to defeat all 4 members of the 4 horsewomen. I think she might be the first one. I have to double check. I feel like there's someone else who defeated the 4 horsewomen, but I might be completely wrong. But she wants to be one of the few women who have defeated the 4 horsewomen. And I'm like, I'm very confident that they will book you to go over Charlotte Flair now. Under Vince, I don't know. But under Triple H, I can see it happening. And so, I don't think the plot armor of Charlotte Flair will be that great to where as though Bianca Belair won't be able to defeat her. But I'm down to see both of those matches, though. But yeah, kind of jumping back to Raw. So we are continuing the story of Becky Lynch going against Bayley, which I'm all for. I know that's going to be a pretty good match between those two. We've seen the return of the Street Profits, who went against Alpha Academy. Like I mentioned previously, Austin Theory and Seth Rollins going toe-to-toe. We've seen Dexter Lumis going against The Miz, and he won a contract and money, and he was giving out money to the kids. Of course, it was fake money, but he was taking out like one single bill and getting it to a kid. And I felt bad because he was giving out to, the kids that were like kind of by themselves. And then he passed like a group of 5 kids together, and they all had their hands out, like straight up like, "Sir, can we please have some porridge?" Like, I felt bad for them. And then of course it was the grown-ups who were really trying to get one of the bills, of course. But he was giving out to the bill from the kids. And then The Miz attacked him from behind, and he went and grabbed the bill from the kid. And I like cracked up off of that one. And then we finished the night with Kevin Owens going against Jey Uso in the end. That was a funny segment too, with the Bloodline showing that they're all together. And they all hugged the Usos and Sami Zayn. And they tried to get Baby Uso to join into the group hug. And Baby Uso's like, "I'm too tough to be hugged." And that's when Kevin Owens came out, of course. So, very interested to see how everything goes as well. everybody was talking about what Seth Rollins was wearing. I could have sworn Seth Rollins wore that crazy ass outfit before. Like, I remember seeing him wearing the lace with the short, with see-through lace with, I was going to say boxers. I mean, it looks like boxers, but I know that they're just shorts. The outfits he wears, I'm not surprised at the shit that he wears anymore, because he wears the craziest stuff. But nevertheless, it was a pretty good, fun Raw. Now, I did check out some of NXT, but before I jump into that, let me get into this whole Sasha Banks thing that everybody keeps talking about. So she had sent out a TikTok, I think it was, or something, saying she's coming, and it was photos and videos of her training down in Mexico. She was with a lot of Mexican wrestlers as well. There's one lucha that she took a photo with, and I'm trying for the life of me trying to figure out who it was. It looks like a Laredo Kid, but the mask, like the points of the mask were too short. But I don't know. She was wrestling with a bunch of people, getting back into training. You see her pull out a few moves. Bayley was down there as well. And then, of course, no one was talking about who she was taking the photos with. But everybody was wanting her to come back and stuff like that. So now the question goes, is she coming back to WWE or AEW? Now, she have done things, allegedly, according to these dirt sheets. They are still trying to negotiate her contract, but the issue is money. And I'm like, well, of course, the issue is going to be money. Sasha Banks have not been shy of how she felt how high she feel her worth is, because she mentioned, I think it was Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, that she feels as though she could sit at the same table as Vince McMahon and eat the steak with the potatoes. So with someone with that type of mindset, she's going to want to be paid. Won't be surprised if she's trying to be the highest paid woman, and probably wants a contract similar to Ronda Rousey if Ronda is the highest paid woman, or even higher than that. Which, I don't know if WWE is going to go for that. Look, she got a sniff of that Mickey Mouse money. She was in Star Wars The Mandalorian. So she got a sniff of some actual money, and she's probably like, I want some more of that money again. Now, I know that they're coming up with another season. She might be in that season as well. Who knows? Once you go to Star Wars, normally people who are in Star Wars kind of go to Marvel as well, because it's all under the same Mickey Mouse hat. So she's smelling what money could look like for her afterwards. She's one of the most, outside of WWE, she is one of the most recognized women right now, as far as, making appearances at other shows and stuff like that. She's very popular. She's very marketable. So, she's going to negotiate her worth. And if WWE is willing to match that number, seems like they're, according to the dirt sheets, allegedly, they're not trying to really match that number. We shall see. But in my opinion, I feel like it's very possible she may be going to AEW, because there's some moves that she's been pulling that really WWE, unless Triple H completely let go of everything that Vince McMahon does. She has trademarked, I believe she has her own company. I think it's called Soulnado or something like that, Inc. And she started doing these trademarks of, Mercedes Moné, I think I saw Monet Talks, something statement, but she started doing all these trademarks. And if you look into the trademarks, or what actually she trademarked, is a trademark for jewelry, cups and mugs, t-shirts, hoodies and stuff like that, action figures, and entertainment services and stuff like that. So if you're trademarking a name for possibly merchandise, WWE is not going to allow you to come out with your own merchandise or have your own type of name. Like, WWE will give you what they give you. Now, unless Triple H sat there and was like, okay, you can trademark your own stuff,
I highly doubt it. And then, of course, there was news from way back, I think in July or something like that, that allegedly she won't take any indie dates until after January 1st. I have a strong feeling that she may be coming back to, that she may be going to AEW. Now, will that be a great move for her? In my opinion, I would say yes, because she will automatically be the star of the division. Where if she comes back to WWE, yeah, she'll be hot and everything like that. But as we've seen before she left, she was part of the tag team division. She wasn't part of the two belts. I mean, she lost to Bianca Belair at that WrestleMania. And then since then, she's been in the tag team division. And then before even that, she was in the tag team division with her and Bayley. So if she goes to WWE, if she really wants to have the star power, she'll be one of many. I mean, we have Becky Lynch back as the man. We got Bayley. We got Bianca Belair now. We got Rhea Ripley coming up as well. And who knows, it's probably Bianca Belair going against Rhea Ripley. Especially you have Charlotte as well. You have Ronda Rousey as well. So there's a lot of stars with WWE that if Sasha Banks come back, she'll be one of many. I'm not saying that she won't be popular as she always is. She's going to be very popular in WWE. She's always been popular in WWE. But as far as star power, as far as the pull, as far as being able to negotiate the money and everything like that, and being at the top of the pyramid, she's going to be one of the women at the top of the pyramid, if not a little bit notches below. Because like I said, you got Ronda Rousey there. You have Charlotte Flair coming back. Now I don't know how it's going to be under Triple H, but I'm sure he's a big fan of Bianca Belair right now. And so as far as like with her, she doesn't have to be at the top of the division because they have enough women right now who can handle being at the top of the division, as we've seen during her absence and during her previous absence as well. So if she goes to AEW, who's going to be at the top of the chain? It's going to be her. I mean, you have Britt Baker, you have other women there, of course, that is, at the top of their chain. But as soon as she signs, she's up there. She's on the tippy top of the pyramid. She is the sun that's going to shine light on the pyramid. Does that mean that the women's division is going to get automatically better? It's going to get better because, you have Sasha Banks there. In my opinion, who is she going to be fighting? Like, as far as match quality, the matches and the feuds in WWE will be a lot stronger for her in AEW. Sorry to say, but that's the truth. Women in AEW are still developing. Look at Britt Baker. Britt Baker's at the top of her game, but it took her a while to get up there. And she was there from day one. And look how long it took for her to get to the top of the game. And we have women there, like, as far as on paper and as far as promos and stuff like that, Jade Cargill versus Sasha Banks is going to be good on paper, good as far as promo. But can Jade Cargill, wrestle, on the same level as Sasha Banks? We've seen what Sasha Banks is doing. Sasha Banks is sitting there learning lucha stuff. She's learning she is elevating her wrestling game right now. Her versus Toni Storm will be interesting. Her versus Athena. But, how many feuds can we pull out here that we sit there and say, oh, that's going to be a banger match. That's going to be an awesome match. As far as feuds and promos and stuff like that, yeah. Like I said, it's going to be pretty good. But as far as, 5-star quality matches that she will easily get in WWE, can't really say that I can see that much with AEW. Now, if she is trying to go more for being at the top of the pyramid and helping a division grow, I don't know how much she'll be able to do there. Like I said, for some reason, with the women's division, especially in AEW, there's just such a disconnect with their matches, that the matches is very disjointed. It is not smooth. The spots doesn't flow from one to the other. So I don't know, like I said, if it's confidence, if it's not being trusting of your opponent, if it's not being trusting of yourself, is it fear? Is it, lack of experience? I don't know. but I feel like, yeah, Sasha Banks can definitely help. If Sasha Banks is looking to get a big payday and be automatically at the top of the food chain, yeah, you would go to AEW. But however, once the ink dries on the paper, the check is cashed. You had your first major feud, because I'm sure they're going to throw her at the person who could easily try, be somewhat as close as they can to matching her in the ring. 6 months down the line, what then? But I feel like she's going to go to AEW. She's going to have the most creative control there. She'll be able to control, as far as her name and, things like that, her promos and what she would like to happen as far as her character development. And Tony Khan is such a fan. He will let her do anything. He'll let her do anything. He'll give her the money that she wants. She'll be like, she'll sit there and say that she could sit at the same table with Tony Khan and have the steak and potatoes. And Tony Khan would tell her, would you like to know what vegetables go best with that plate? Vince McMahon would tell her, like, you need to sit at the kids' table. All right? You're not sitting at the same table with me. You can have a steak, but your steak is 5 ounces. My steak is going to be 12 ounces. That's what she's getting with WWE. But AEW, oh, she's sitting next to Tony Khan. Tony Khan will probably share the drink with her, will share his plate with her, and probably will ask her if she wants his water. That's what she'll get in AEW. So as far as like egotistical point, yeah, she'll probably go to AEW. And if that upsets you, I mean, that's the truth. It's the truth of her going to AEW. Because if I was in her position and I want to get max money, be able to call my own shots, and be able to, be at the top of the chain, initially, yeah, I'll go to AEW. But my thing is, once you're locked in that contract and a year has gone by and, because the division isn't up to your level of experience, it's like eventually from there, you might get a little bit upset. So sorry to say to those people who are, vying for her to go back to WWE. If she goes back to WWE, I'll be happy for her. Like, she'll have better feuds, better match quality in WWE. Sorry to say. Give AEW a couple of years, I might be able to say the same thing with them as well. We'll see how it goes. Allegedly, with the previous rumor of her saying she won't be able to take any matches until January 1st or whatever, we'll see what happens once the WrestleMania season rolls around. That will really tell. We'll see what happens around Royal Rumble time. Because normally when people return, they return at the Royal Rumble. So we will see if she appears at the Women's Royal Rumble, or if she appears, that Raw after Royal Rumble or something like that. We'll see how things goes. But, I wish her luck. I really do. So I did check out NXT this week because I was very curious about this whole Iron Survivor Challenge, and I wanted to know who was involved in it. So I watched a couple of things. I didn't really see the I caught the end of the Roxanne Perez versus Indy Hartwell. I saw that Roxanne had won, and then I see Mr. He was Dominic Dijakovic, but they're calling him Dijak, which I know is part of his name. Or I saw too that is Donovan Dijak. I don't know. But I saw the clip on YouTube of him returning, and someone please tell me, why are we having our man look like he stepped fresh off of the page? Well, not fresh off the pages, but fresh from a Modern Warfare game. My man looked like he is from Call of Duty. I was cracking up because they even had, the bars and stuff like that. It's just the look with the leather jacket and the glasses, and makes him look like he's about to start barking orders at your character, and you have to sit there and complete the mission. And then he, of course, with some people like we had with Scripps, you doing the signature page, because that's his thing. We have Dijak repeatedly talking about justice. They have to come to justice. We're going to go see justice. Justice, justice, justice. My justice. And I'm like, okay, I see that they gave you your cue word to sit there and say.
He said justice as much as they had said stupendous for the previous WrestleMania. But, our guy looks like he is fresh off of Modern Warfare. Like Tom Clancy, if there is a new Tom Clancy show or a movie or something like that, you need the role of the general or sergeant, you got your damn guy. I was laughing at it, but I was like, he looks fucking awesome though, with the glasses and stuff. So the shot, props to the cameraman for this shot. So you see Dijak. I'm going to try not to call him Dijakovic. But you see Dijak stand there, right? He's facing the camera and he's doing the pose and stuff like that. And he takes off the glasses. And he has this thing, and he did it when he was Dominic Dijakovic, and he would do the feast your eyes. And then he starts like doing that breathe heavy thing with his shoulders. And so he took off the glasses. As he's taking off the glasses, he's doing the heavy thing with his shoulders, where his shoulders go up and down like he's breathing heavy, right? And then the camera is on Dijak, and then that bitch pans over to his opponent, and his opponent had this look on his face where he was just like, did I name who will take care of the kids and my wife when I go type of look on his face. And his name was Dante Chen, which I'm like, okay, we all know what type of match this is going to be here. And we went from there. And of course, I give props that Dante Chen had a bit of offense in there. It wasn't a complete squash match. It wasn't a complete squash, that he got a little bit of offense in there. So we could say, okay, good effort there, sir. But, we knew what it was going to be. And so, yeah, we saw that Dijak had won in the end as well. And then I saw Kiana James versus Fallon Henley. And I think it's Kiana James, who I guess they're making her into a female version of IRS. I mean, she had, about as like Attitude Era gear as we can get as far as female version of IRS. Like, it gave me Stacy Keibler vibes with her outfit. I mean, she had like the bralettes on, and then she had like a I guess it was supposed to be trying like be a secretary look, because she had a bag, she had a tote with her as well. She had like it's supposed to be a business skirt, but it had the slits up the side of it. So yeah, and then we had Booker T on commentary as well with Vic Joseph, I think his name is. And the storyline is that Kiana James wants to sell Fallon's farm and turn into condos. And I'm like, yo, this is straight up motherfucking Attitude Era type of shit. I'm like, okay, it's developmental. It's NXT developmental. The non-colorful NXT. I didn't see the rest of it. I kind of turned it off from there, because I was trying to find out the information as far as the Iron Survivor Challenge, and I saw that they had Molly Holly, and then they announced Molly Holly, Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Alundra Blaze, and I thought they was going to be out in the ring, but it was actually a backstage segment, which at first I wasn't happy about, because I'm like, damn, I was hoping that they would interact with the crowd, but I get why it was a backstage segment, so they can talk about each competitor that they were looking at, and then you get the bit of a vignette with them as well to kind of like show more as far as why they need to be in it. And I was like, you know what, I'll catch the information online as far as who will be on there, because I thought maybe it would be a bit of a qualifier or something like that, which I'm guessing, like I'm guessing they're kind of going to do that, because you have to figure out who is going to come out first, whether they draw numbers or something like that, or draw straws. But I'm hoping they're not going to do some type of gauntlet or something like that, to where as though we get the match before the match. I'm hoping that they won't do that, but I feel like that's kind of what we're going to get. That we're going to get some type of gauntlet or something before the match to determine who comes out first and who comes out last. The rules of the match, and I'm reading this here, 5 superstars will compete in a 25-minute match where they battle each other and the clock.
2 superstars will start the match, and every 5 minutes a new person will come out until all 5 in the ring, which is very similar to WarGames. The difference here is that the superstar who scores the most falls when the clock hits 25 minutes will be named Iron Survivor and will be the number 1 contender here. But I could have sworn that but whoever gets pinned or something like that or submitted will lose a point, and then they have to go into a penalty box for like 90 seconds or something like that. But they did name the competitors for the men's and the women's. So for the men, it would be Carmelo Hayes, Jaydee McDonough, Joe Gacy, Grayson Waller, and then a wild card that will be determined to make up the men's match. So I don't know if this wild card will be determined in a match beforehand, if there's a qualify for it, or we're going to get surprised at the match. And then for the women, we have Zoe Stark, Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, Kiana James, and we also have a wild card here. So I am happy that, these 2 teams are more looking towards not the major hitters here. It looks like for Deadline, we more likely going to have Apollo Crews going against Braun Breaker anyway, which I was laughing because they showed I don't know if that was last week or if that was this week. I think it was last week. They showed Braun Breaker fishing. And then, of course, they showed Apollo Crews going back to the diner he was originally at to write in his journal. Because that's what you do, on your day off. You go fishing and you write in your journal. I was asked, too, how I feel about the non-colorful NXT. And it's like, my favorite was, of course, the black and gold NXT. Because it was more of an indies show versus anything, even though it was like quote unquote developmental, but it was indies wrestlers. So I felt under like WWE type of thing, it was sort of developmental because it was indies wrestlers, being presented to go before they go up to the main roster. However, it felt like I was watching an indies show that was on TV. And then we get to the colorful NXT, which was definitely, it like really gave me like PG WWE vibes with some of the silliness and stuff like that, where it was more about characters than it was wrestling. Not that I have a problem with it because, we had The Rock, we have Stone Cold and stuff like that. Like we had characters too, but the wrestling was good as well. And it was an emphasis on storylines and stuff like that. So it wasn't like we have these wacky characters and tune in to watch us every single week, but there was good wrestling going with it as well. And so we kind of didn't really have that with the colorful NXT, but now that we got the non-colorful NXT, I feel better about it. Like the thing is that it's very developmental, and I feel like if you're going to present something on TV, and I'm keeping this energy with AEW as well. If you're going to present something on TV, it should present people who are ready for TV, especially if you're going to put them on prime time or something like that. It got to be somebody who's ready for TV. Unfortunately for AEW, they don't really have anybody else as far as the women's division to put on TV. But with the colorful NXT, it was just like, everyone wasn't ready for TV. And it was basically, you was watching NXT before it became black and gold NXT. But that was on the network. And I was like, okay with that because it was like, it's on the network, it's not presented in front of like live TV, whereas though your numbers deeply depend on it, or else you'll get canceled type of situation. And that's how I felt I felt as though like you're asking too much for these people who are in developmental, like literally kind of like learning, not really learning how to wrestle, but learning how to be in the sports entertainment world, I guess I should say it. And you're throwing them on primetime TV. That's a lot of pressure to put on them, especially that as they're learning type of situation. Now, I'm always down for people who have gotten better
since they first started. I've sing the praises of a lot of people that have gotten better since they first started. So now that we're in the non-colorful NXT, a lot of the people who were in the colorful NXT has developed a lot better than now than they were when it was colorful NXT. So I give, props to that type of situation. The men's division in non-colorful NXT is pretty good. It's just the women that still have ways to go. And I'll be patient with them because there are some women there that are pretty good in the ring, pretty good as far as character development and promos and stuff like that. And there are a few that are the whole package that is like carrying the division along, which is Toxic Attraction. But as far as like who can follow up once they eventually go to the main roster, don't know. But it's coming along. It really is. But overall, pretty good week as far as I was about to say SmackDown. As far as Survivor Series and then the follow-up Raw and then NXT. Now we have AEW Dynamite coming up. We are continuing the Best Out of 7 series with Death Triangle and the Elite. I didn't watch the latest Being the Elite episode. Of course, there was the dirt sheets were saying how CM Punk was not happy with what they did in Chicago, and it's like, well, fucking of course, like, of course they're not going to be happy about it. Like, you expect him to be, be like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool that they sat there and golled the crowd with, references of me while I'm not there. Like, come on, you gotta make it make sense. Yeah, but I was trying to see what the preview was as far as Dynamite tonight. I do know that there is the Best Out of 7 coming up between the Death Triangle and the Young Bucks. I do know that we're gonna see MJF. He was supposed to be there he wasn't there last week because they said he was gonna be there tonight. So we're gonna see him in his first promo as champion. Like I said, we have the Trios Championship as well. We also have we got Bryan Danielson going against Dax Harwood. Oh, that match is gonna go fucking hard. You want to talk about technical match? That's going to be as technical as a motherfucker. Well, it should be, I should say. We do have the celebration for, they're throwing a celebration as far as, with Jade Cargill retaining her title, and it's, Red Velvet's birthday as well. She just Kiera Hogan just got fired, so hopefully we'll see her in action or something. And we get a feud either out of her and Jade or her and Red Velvet, which it probably might be as well. We will also, we had, House of Black return, which I was very happy to see about. So we'll see the fallout with that as well. And probably more of the fallout between a lot that's happened with Full Gear. More of that fallout as well as we go towards, what are we going towards? The special events for Dynamite. I know winter is coming. It's going to be MJF versus Ricky Starks. We have the holiday, the holiday episode, and I think it's New York Smash that they're having too, the week of New Year's. And then as we go towards, I think they have a pay-per-view in January. I don't know if it's Revolution or something, or if we're just, I don't know if we're skipping all that and just going straight to Double or Nothing. But I swear that AEW now has a pay-per-view in January or something like that. But we shall see. But that's what we have going on tonight. So I can't wait to see what happens with AEW as we continue on from there. And we go on towards the next pay-per-view, whenever that may be. And the continued fallout for Survivor Series With SmackDown coming up, we'll have more of Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. Hoping we get a little bit more development with Bray Wyatt. It seems like we're doing a slow burn for, this Uncle Howdy or whatever this character is. And then, with Alexa Bliss, stuff like that. And it seems like we're doing a slow burn with it, which my patience can't really take it. But I guess I have to be patient for it. I'm hoping that this isn't going to turn into, I don't know, we need to reveal who the fuck this person is soon, but I guess we got to go through this psychological thing with Bray Wyatt as far as with that. Yeah, okay. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what the Wyatt 6 is all about. But yeah, that's it for the Wrestlebread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hop on Twitter and follow me at JDC137. That's JAYDEE, the letter C, 137. You can also follow the podcast at Wrestlebread as well. Be sure to click the links in the bios for the Instagrams, the Facebook, and the YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe there. Leave a comment wherever let me know how you feel about Survivor Series. Let me know your thoughts and everything. Where do you think Sasha Banks is going as well? And coming up next week, I'll be going more into recaps as far as with what's happening with AEW and WWE and the possible news and rumors that's coming from there. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, guys, peace.